In July 2024, the primary architect of the artificial intelligence boom quietly wrapped up a monumental $60 million social experiment. 1,000 lower-income Americans were given $1,000 every single month for 3 straight years, with absolutely zero strings attached. The expectation among some tech elites was that this unconditional cash would map out a flawless blueprint for our automated future. The reality? Well, it completely broke the script. Participants did work fewer hours, about 1.3 hours less per week, but they weren't just sitting on the couch being lazy. They were young adults going back to school and single parents finally staying home to raise their kids. But, the cash didn't magically fix deep-seated physical health issues, and their initial mental health boosts actually faded back to baseline by the 3rd year. Because of this, the sharpest minds in market economics are realizing something massive. Just handing out government checks might be a fundamentally incomplete equation. The future of survival in an automated world may not just be about getting a monthly allowance. It may also be about who owns the systems generating the wealth. Welcome to Curious Minds. I'm Sarah. Before I was sitting behind this microphone, I spent a decade running data models in downtown Chicago. I was paid to predict how human beings react to a lot of different things, especially when you mess with their money and their time. But you don't need a degree in behavioral economics to understand what is happening right now. You just need to pay attention. If you spend any time online right now, you're bound to run into a massive wall of noise. It's the same panicky narrative every single day. Artificial intelligence is going to take all our jobs, and the only way we survive is if the government steps in and cuts everyone a universal baseline check. Universal basic income. But, let's bring this down to earth for a second. Let's talk about how the world actually works when the rubber meets the road. If you are listening to this from Chicago like me, you know the exact feeling of standing on the outdoor platform for the CTA Red Line in the middle of January. The wind is howling off Lake Michigan, your face physically hurts, and you are shivering, just waiting for that train to arrive so you can get to work and pay your rent. That anxiety? That cold, hard reality? That is the engine of our economy. It forces human labor to show up. But out here, we also have a legendary winter tradition called dibs. You spend 2 back-breaking hours in the freezing cold shoveling snow out of a parking spot on your street, and when you pull your car out, you place a rusty folding chair or an old nightstand in that empty space. That junk is a sacred claim. It tells the neighborhood, I put in the sweat equity. This space is mine. It is entirely about claiming ownership. Right now, artificial intelligence is essentially plowing the entire global economy, but it's the tech monopolies placing the folding chairs. We are rapidly losing our spot on the street. And a government check won't hold our place. We need our chair. First, we need to clear something up. We have to cleanly separate universal basic income from standard social benefits. Things like food stamps, unemployment checks, or a family allowance that the government provides specifically to people who are struggling. Those are targeted safety nets designed to catch a specific group of people after they fall. Universal Basic Income, or UBI, is a completely different animal. Universal means exactly that every single person gets it. The billionaire and the barista. It is a baseline allowance just for breathing. Now, we have seen targeted cash work absolute miracles for vulnerable populations. In Wales, a massive pilot program gave 18-year-olds leaving the foster care system about £1,280 a month. Early results look genuinely promising. It acted as a transitional safety net, and many participants reported it eased financial anxiety and helped them stabilize housing during a chaotic life pivot. Similarly, unconditional cash pilots in the U.S. have helped victims of domestic violence successfully escape abusive relationships by giving them the instant liquidity to secure independent housing. But scaling that up universally? That is where economists warn that the math gets precarious. UBI is an additive support system, not a silver bullet. It supports basic needs and boosts entrepreneurship, but it cannot single-handedly solve structural problems like a lack of housing or expensive childcare. If everyone in a city suddenly gets an extra $1,000, but we don't build more apartments, economic models warn us what usually happens next. In heavily constrained markets, landlords often adjust to the new baseline liquid capacity, which risks triggering severe localized inflation. And there is another incredibly complex layer here, the human mind. Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, helped fund that massive $60 million experiment I mentioned earlier, called Open Research. The data showed that while cash eases immediate stress, long-term mental health is deeply tied to having a purpose. In the study, people felt better at first, but by the end of the 3 years, those mental health improvements had completely diminished. We also have a recent UK microsimulation study looking at these broader impacts. It found that if a basic income causes people to leave the workforce entirely, the mental health of the population could actually deteriorate in the short term, whereas mental health tends to improve if employment levels remain steady. You know what? Human beings are hardwired for purpose. We need community, structure, and social utility. Direct cash can pay a past-due utility bill, but it cannot manufacture a reason to get out of bed. This is exactly why organizations like the International Labor Organization point out that AI transforms specific tasks. It doesn't necessarily destroy entire occupations overnight. An AI can draft a legal brief, but it can't navigate nuanced corporate ethics or manage complex human-client relationships. Mass unemployment isn't guaranteed. We aren't facing the end of work, but we are facing a massive shift in who gets paid for it. Think about it. Every technological revolution created new owners. Railroads created railroad shareholders. Oil created energy shareholders. The internet created platform shareholders. The AI revolution will create owners too. The real question is whether that ownership stays concentrated in a handful of firms or becomes broadly distributed. Because of this shifting data, tech leaders like Sam Altman are publicly exploring alternative frameworks. He has recently discussed favoring models like a public wealth fund over traditional UBI payouts. We are seeing a philosophical pivot from universal basic income to universal basic ownership. Let me explain this so clearly that even a child can understand. Imagine a giant, fully automated bakery in your neighborhood. AI is the machine, and it is baking millions of loaves of bread for pennies. UBI is the government standing at the front door, handing you one slice of bread every day so you don't starve. You don't have any say in how the bakery is run, and you are entirely dependent on that daily handout. Universal basic ownership, on the other hand, means you are given a legal, collective equity share of the bakery itself. You own a fraction of the ovens, the recipes, and the robots. As the bakery makes more money, scales up, and bakes more bread, your shares pay you dividends directly into your bank account. In the real world, this means the public collectively owns equity in the AI companies and the massive compute infrastructure that is actually generating the new wealth. You don't just want the slice of bread. You want to own part of the bakery. This brings us to the real human impact. When you switch your mindset from receiving an allowance to demanding ownership, you change your own psychology. You stop feeling like a dependent, and you start feeling like a shareholder. The real power of having a financial floor isn't about buying luxury items. It is the power of the word no. It means a working parent can look at a brutal, 12-hour warehouse shift and say, "No, I am going to use this cash buffer to stay home and raise my kids." It means a young professional can say no to a toxic, dead-end job and take the time to intentionally search for high-quality work. Cash helps, but ownership changes power. It gives you the psychological safety to make intentional life choices without the paralyzing fear of absolute poverty. So, what is my take on all this? What are the actual recommendations and immediate steps for you right now? First, I have to state this clearly. I am not your fiduciary. None of this is financial advice, and you should always consult a certified financial advisor for your personal wealth management. But here is my recommendation for your mindset right now, based on the macroeconomic trends we're seeing. Stop waiting for a macro-level government safety net to drop out of the sky and save your career. For the legacy builders in your 40s and 50s, rethink how you view wealth preservation. Are you only looking at legacy industries, or are you paying attention to the compute power, data centers, and AI infrastructure that are generating new capital? The mindset shift is about ensuring your portfolio secures a stake in the tools building the future. For the future builders, the 18 to 34s, shift your mindset from simply earning a wage to building leverage. If you have a cash buffer, don't use it to just scrape by. Use it to build things the machine cannot replicate. Stop competing in the low-wage, freelance race to the bottom. Build a hyperlocal, high-trust, human-centric business. An AI can write a brilliant line of code, but it cannot look someone in the eye, shake their hand, and build a community. Take a hard look at your own ledger this week. Where are you just collecting an allowance, and where can you demand ownership? Remember the chair on the street. Nobody is going to save your spot for you. But for the first time in this new economy, you get to decide whether you're holding a folding chair or a deed. If today's episode changed the way you think, the absolute best compliment you can give us is a quick rating on your podcast app. It truly means the world to our team. And if you have ideas on how we can improve or what we should change, put it right there in the comments. We are always listening. Thank you guys for staying till the end. I'm Sarah, and this is Curious Minds Podcast. Stay curious, stay sharp.